Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This video today, first, this is Daryl Guberman, CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. This video today is about NTSB Boeing. No records, no names, 2 months later. Yes, they can't find out who manufactured the door. They thought it was Sparrow Aerospace Systems that Mr. Patrick Shanahan is now the CEO of, from what we've gathered. Patrick is probably, out of all these people thus far, I've not heard too much, but Patrick Shanahan was very honest when he was Deputy Secretary of Defense, when he was asked about the F-35 program. He said the program was fucked up, okay? Fucked up. So he was the only honest one. I've never heard a politician say those words. But I guess anything goes in the 21st century. I guess so. So anyway, Patrick said that. But Patrick, I will say this, it's not just the program that's fucked up. Let's go look to Jim Tassett. He smiles. He must be a good golfer, doesn't he? Look at that. But I'll tell you about this mess, okay? On their 801st ship, and you'll find it down below in the description, they're still producing the F-35 with crap. They're still getting escapes, as they say in aerospace. I say rejections. I use the old term. They want to paste it over. Oh, it's an escape. No, it's a rejection, up to and including loss of aircraft and loss of pilot. So, Mr. Jim, it's not that Mr. Shanahan said that the program's fucked up. The aircraft is fucked up too. So you can smile all you want. I think he's making over a couple $1 million, a lot. Plus a performance bonus, plus stock options. Oh, it's a wonderful life, isn't it? Playing golf and taking names and whatever. But you have this guy, David Calhoun, too. David Calhoun always talks about their regulator. Regulating what? Okay? Regulating what? And by the way, Boeing doesn't need to tell the NTSB anything, because as we all know as American citizens, one agency doesn't talk to another agency. What does that mean? It means very simple that in 2009, Boeing was made an FAA regulator. They are the FAA. How does one regulator watch over the other regulator? And I'm going to bring the NTSB chairperson out, Miss Jennifer Homendi. How does that happen? Can you tell me, my dear? How does that happen? One regulator watching over another regulator. Who watches over the FAA? Oh, no. You know what I did? I just gave her an idea. They're probably going to have a committee, another agency, watch over the FAA. You know what you need? You need one agency to watch over the other agency. But as we know as citizens, no agency talks to each other. Unbelievable. And it goes on further to say, authority extended to Boeing under the new system allows Boeing employees to perform tasks on behalf of the FAA that include oversight of testing and product standards, along with certification of aircraft technologies and new aircraft designs, which means there are new aircraft technologies, which means they didn't have to tell the FAA about putting the MCAS system on that devastated Ethiopian Air and Indonesian Air, okay? And that is a problem with us. On top of it, they came out in 2002, going back 7 years, they came out with a supplier bulletin. Within the confines of this bulletin, I'm going to break it down real quick. They basically say if you don't have to be AS 9100 at that time. They're trying to force it as you read the document. It required, mandate, all the rest. What they basically said is that if you get a audit from a recognized aerospace company like a Lockheed Martin, you send that in to us and we will look at that, consider it, and they'll accept it, of course, and you send in parts. Maybe that's the problem with the door information. Maybe they took one of those suppliers and they took the document and somebody lost it, of course. What are you going to do? But you keep on reading it and you find out that, this. Let me show it to you. You send in your AS 9100 certificate accredited by ANSI ANAP. Why? Because Boeing sits on the board of ANSI ANAP. They sit on the board, at least up until 2020, they sat on the board of ANAP. That was the board of directors that guided ANAP, and also the board that can grant, suspend, and withdraw certification. We see how well that went, of course. Boeing sits on ANSI over by the FAA, over by the DOJ, over by the DOT, over by the FBI, etc., etc., etc. So we go like this. You send in your certification. It probably goes to purchasing. Purchasing has a checklist, okay? And the checklist, it says, ensure that the certification is accredited by ANSI ANAP. Why? Because Boeing sits on the board. of ANSI ANAP. Boeing also came out with that supplier bulletin. Have it ANSI ANAP, okay? And also they put it on their supplier portal, ANSI ANAP or international equivalent. They are breaking the Sherman Act. They have caused a monopoly, okay? And I have all the data because they froze my organization out. Now, just recently, actually 4 or 5 years ago, they started to allow my customers to send materials into them, all right? So here we go. You send in the AS9100 certificate accredited by ANAP. And by the way, ANSI ANAP are underwriters for the International Accreditation Forum in Delaware, which is a repository for national and international accreditation bodies. They are also the underwriter for the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation out of Australia. So here we go. The supplier sends in your AS9100 cert, accredited by ANSI ANAP, send in your part, and Boeing does not have to send an inspector to your facility. I'm sure they did sample inspection. Who knows, though? They will say to a lawyer, when they ask you for, can we see the inspection results? They'll probably say, this is confidential. We can't do it. And you can ask her, too, because she's had over 2 months, and this is a video, NTSB Boeing, no records, no names, 2 months later. And she's been asking for it. And the reason why is because Boeing is an FAA regulator. They can also say in court that it's confidential, who supplied it. They can do all this stuff. And this case could go on forever. But you know something, Jennifer? If those lawyers get a hold of me, when those lawyers get a hold of me, and they're smart enough to do so, the ones that are for the victims of Alaska Air, they're going to win, because what we are going to present to them is the truth. And the truth, as my mom said, the truth will always rise itself to the top. Except spoiled milk, like what Boeing has, sinks to the bottom. 203-556-1493 or Daryl, tqrs@yahoo.com. I thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you again. The rest of the data will be down below this video in the description.